So in the last session, we discussed about the user and what are the basic roles we have to assign to the user so that the user will have a full privileges to work as a consultant to do any sort of configurations as per business. So in today's session, let's talk about FSM, Functional Setup Manager. Okay, let's talk about FSM, Functional Setup Manager. So with the Functional Setup Manager, what we can do? Primarily, we can do the setups. Along with that, so what are the other activities we have to do so that we can take the advantage of this FSM? When you get access to fresh instance, okay, when you get access to fresh instance, so what does it mean by fresh instance? Without any sample data, okay, what are the instance you get from your client? Ideally, your client will get from Oracle and you will get the same from your client. So when we get fresh instance from the client, when you are working in the project, ideally you get the test instance as a fresh instance. There won't be any sample data. Okay, you don't find any sample data. Everything what you get, that you cannot find any sample data. Oracle provides some seeded roles and some seeded data also. What should be along with the product, the data only you can find in the fresh instance that ideally we use for testing purpose. So that simply you can call as test instance. What are the instance we get as a part of implementation, that is a fresh instance only. Okay. So in the fresh instance, first what we have to do is we have to enable what are the applications we are going to implement for our client. We have to enable what are the applications we are going to implement for our client. Let's look into what is the terminology we use when we talk about that point. So we discussed various product families, right? Here, if you see, we discussed about financials, HCM, CRM, PPM, SCM. Okay, these are the different product families. So financials, SCM, procurement, HCM, PPM, CRM. Okay, this is how we have a different product families. So these different product families, as per our Fusion applications within the FSM, we call as offerings. Financials we call as offering. Okay, financials we call as offering, and SCM also we call as offering. Procurement, HCM, each and every product family we call as offering. Why we are calling as offering? For these areas, Oracle is offering the solution. Okay, Oracle is offering the solution for financials, SCM, procurement, and other product families also. So this, as per FSM, we call as offering. If you take example of financials, within the financials, okay, we have a different applications. Financials we are calling as offering. So within the financials, say we have a GL application, we have AP, AR, CM, FA. This is how we have a different applications within the financials. Financials we are calling as offering. In the same way, other product families also we are calling as offering. So within this financials offering, what are the applications we have? Okay, these we can call as application or module. Okay, GL is one of the application within the financials. If you don't want to call it as application, call as a module. Both are same. So as per FSM, each application we call as option. Okay, each application we call as option. So this is the terminology we have to understand when we deal with the FSM. So product families we are calling as offerings. Within any product within any offering, what are the applications we have? Those we call as options. So just make a note of this terminology, offering and option. Offering means product family, specific product family. It could be any one of them. And option means specific application. It may belongs to any offering or product family. Okay, this is what we have to understand. So when you do the implementation, based on the scope of the implementation, when you say scope of the implementation, what are the applications we are going to implement? Okay, what are the applications we are going to implement for the client? Accordingly, we have to enable the offerings and options in the instance. The very first step in the fresh instance is you can create your own user. Once you are ready with your own user to start with the implementation, we have to enable offerings and options. We have to enable offerings and options. So you are going to implement financials and SCM for your client. Okay, within the financials, which options you are going to implement? In the same way within SCM, what are the different applications we are going to implement? Those we have to enable. Within the FSM, we have to enable the offerings and options. So I'll enable financials and SCM. In financials, all the options. In SCM also, all the options. After enabling these two, system will allow us to implement only financials and SCM. Within the two offerings, what are the different options are enabled? Only those you can implement. Okay, implement in the sense you can do the setups as per business requirement. Those points we'll understand when we start doing the setups. If you want to implement procurement, you cannot do it. The reason, say we enabled only these two offerings. If you want to implement procurement, the procurement offering also you have to enable. You have to enable the procurement offering. Within the procurement offering, what are the different options we have? Those we have to enable. Then system will allow us to do the implementation for procurement. So we have many offerings and many options. Okay, what offerings and options we are going to implement for your client, those we have to enable first. That we call as enabling offerings and options. Any questions here, please? So any point of time you can enable these offerings. Say now you are implementing financials and SCM. After few months or maybe after 1 year, they want to implement HCM also or say PPM also. Yes, you can go and enable any offering, then that would be available to implement. This is what we have to understand. Any questions here, please?
So Lakshman, when Oracle is charging, will they charge for entire thing or only based upon the offering?
Not based on the offering, options which you have choosing within the offering. Say you are choosing the offering called as financials. How many options you are choosing, accordingly they charge. Okay, the number of applications plus number of users, that base Oracle will charge.
So if it is like, to my understanding, if they are selecting financial offerings and they want to enable only GL, they will charge only for that. If they want additional AP, they will increase more amount. Like
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions, please? Fine, no questions. The very first point is within the FSM, we have to enable the offerings and options. So after enabling the offerings and options, you have to do the setups. Say you enable financials and do SCM. Within the financials, you enabled all the options. In SCM also enabled inventory, purchasing, order management applications. So now you enable financials and SCM offerings and all the options inside of those offerings. Now what is the next step you have to do? Once you enable the offerings and options, you can start doing the setups. Okay, you can start doing the setups. What are the setups we are going to do for financials and SCM? What are the setups you are going to do for financials and SCM? You have to manage those setups. Overall, how many setups you have to do? How many setups are completed? How many setups are pending? Who is doing the financial setups? Who is working for SCM? Or else within the financials, which consultant is working for GL or APR, or else it may be for all applications, so maybe one consultant for each module, separate consultant. So this is how you have to maintain the information, and you have to track how many setups are completed, by which date all the setups need to be completed, whether consultants are able to complete the setups within the time. These are all details we have to track. So to do the setups and to manage the setups in the system environment, we have to create the project. To do the implementation, we have to create the implementation project. Create implementation project. Okay. To manage the setups. Okay. What purpose we have to create implementation project? To manage the setups. To perform and to manage the setups, we have to create the implementation project. When you create the implementation project, say you created implementation project by selecting the financials offering. First step, what we are doing, we are enabling. Say we enable this two, and inside of those two offerings, we enabled all the options. When you are creating implementation project, you have to select the offerings and options. First, we are enabling. What are the offerings we enabled? Those only would be available to select and at the time of project creation. So you are creating implementation project. So since these two are enabled, these two would be available for selection. If you select only financials offering at the time of project creation, system will list out all the setups which we have to perform to implement the financials offering. Okay, and within the financials, you'll have option to choose options also. So that means we create implementation project by selecting the offerings and options which are already enabled. Say you enabled only financials and SEM. At the time of project creation, if you want to select procurement, you cannot select since that is not enabled. So why we are enabling the offerings and options? To create the project. At the time of project creation, which offerings and options are enabled, those you can find for selection, so that system will allow you to do the setups based on those offerings and the options. Okay, we have to create implementation project to perform the setups. Okay, only for setup purpose, we have to create the implementation project. Say you created implementation project. Within the implementation project, you selected financials, you selected SCM. That means by selecting financials offering and SCM offering, you created implementation project. Inside of that offerings, you can have a options. Okay. Okay, this is how you can have options inside of the offering. Say we enable these two and we created implementation project, we selected the same. Now what we have to do is we have to assign offering to team members. Assign offering to team members. So who is going to implement financials? We have to assign that offering to team member. Who is going to implement SCM? We have to enable that. We have to assign that offering to team member. Not only entire offering, you can assign specific option to team member. Okay, we can assign offering, or say there is separate consultant who is going to implement payables application. So now we have to assign payables application to separate resource, separate consultant. So assign offering or option. Okay. You can assign one option or multiple options to one consultant. Okay. If not entire option, say in the accounts payable application, accounts payable is one of the option. Within the accounts payable application, you want to assign 10 setups to one consultant. Each setup we call as a task. the Fusion, each setup what we do, we call as a task. That means if not entire option, you can assign the tasks to team members. So in the payables application, we have a 20 tasks, 20 setups. 10 tasks you can assign to one consultant, 10 tasks you can assign to another consultant. Or else in the payables, you want to assign only one setup to one consultant. One setup means one task. So this is how we can assign entire offering or multiple offering to one team member, one option or multiple options to team members, one task or multiple tasks to team members. So this is what we have to do it. Once we assign, the consultants will start working on the project. When you say project, it's all about setups. Okay, the project is different. What we do in real time, that is different from the project which we are discussing. That also we'll discuss. But system point of view, project means only setups. Okay, real time implementation project point of view, project means it's a different. Okay, we'll come to know all those points. For now, as per system implementation project means only for setup purpose. So we have to assign the offering or option or task list to the team members. Once we assign, the consultants will start working on the project. That means we. When we learn this course, we'll work for clients as a consultant. We work as a consultant. Who can create this project in the system? We create the project. It is not mandatory project manager has to create. This is related to system project, not overall project. Overall projects can be handled by project managers, but this is system related setups. The system related setups we are treating as a project. So these all need to be created by us only. As a consultant, we create. It's a simple task any consultant can create. Finance consultant or SCM consultant or HCM consultant, any consultant can create who knows how to create the project in the system. So once we assign specific offerings, options or task list to team members, they can start working on the project. Nothing but they'll start doing the setups. Whenever they start doing the setups, they'll update the status. So they'll update the status of work. Say one consultant, finance consultant started working on financials implementation, finance setups. Then they'll update financial offering status as in progress. By default, everything would be not started as per system. So since finance consultant started doing the setups, finance consultant can update the status as a financials setup I started. That means they'll update the status as in progress. So in the financials, AP setups are completed. Then the consultant can update the status as completed. AR setups are started. Yes, the consultant can update the status as AR setups are in progress. If anybody look at those that implementation project, easily they can understand who is working for which offering or who is working for which option and what is the status of that offering and options, whether that is completed or not yet started or already in progress. These details easily you can identify. The consultants who are working for the project, if they are updating the status as not started, started, completed, when somebody look at this project, easily we can understand what is the progress of the project. That means by updating the works related status, related to setups, anyone can understand what exactly the setups are completed, how much time is left to complete remaining setups, who are working, who completed, who not yet completed, who completed within the time. These are all the details we can track. So that simply you can say because of this status related updates, we can track the progress of the project. Track the progress of the project. We can track the progress of the project. Progress of the project is nothing but setups. We can track the status of the progress of the setups, how many completed, how many not completed. This is what we have to understand. And one more point here, Say for example, by default, every client will get two instances. One is two instances. One we use for testing purpose. That is the reason you can call as test instance. Other instance we call as production instance. Development instance client can get by paying extra. The most of the implementation we see these two instances only, test and production. Say to test everything you did all the setups in the test instance. The same setups you required in the production instance. So in that case, you can move the setups from the test instance to production instance. If not test, say you are using the development instance also. If you want to move the setups from here to here, we can use the concept called as configuration packages. Okay. Configuration packages. By using the configuration packages, you can move the setups from one instance to another instance. Okay, by using the configuration packages concept, we can move the setups from one to another instance. Say test instance to development instance, you can move the setups, or else development instance to production instance, or test instance to production instance. Okay, from one instance to another instance, you can move all the setups. Say you completed setups in the test instance, same setups you required in the development instance. Okay, why the setups are required in the different instances? When you talk about real-time classes, you will understand that point, but here very generic point is, if you want to move the setups from one to another instance, we can use the configuration package. The configuration package is also part of FSM. Within the FSM, we have a configuration packages. By using the configuration package setup, you can move the setups from one to other instance. Okay, one to other instances. So when you talk about any project, ideally you can find the different roles in the project. One is functional consultant. Other one is technical. Third one is DBA and project manager. In case of cloud implementations, no DBA. Okay, we don't need DBA as a part of our team. And when you talk about technical efforts are very less. Okay, there is a very less technical requirement in the cloud projects. So, but generally we'll have a technical resource, but not very much dedicated. And the very primary role is functional consultant. In cloud implementations, it could be SaaS or PaaS. So very primary resource in the every project is functional consultant. That can be finance functional or SCM functional, HCM functional. Okay. Now, being a functional consultant, you can move the setups from one to other instances. In the older version, EBS and all, if you want to move the setups from one to other instance, we need DBA. Okay, as a part of real-time implementation project, we will discuss all the points. What generally functional consultant should do, what technical, what DBA should do, what is the role of project manager. These all points we'll discuss. Now let's try to understand the product first of all. If you understand the product, understanding these things, the roles, what we do, what others do, and how the team can be formed, what would be the responsibility of each and every role, these points easily you can understand. First thing is, product understanding is very important. If you understand the product thoroughly, you are ready with 90%. Remaining 10%, you have to understand how projects can be done, what is the responsibility of so and so roles. If you understand these points, you'll be good to go. Okay. So that's what we have to understand. Now, this is what we can do in the FSM, Functional Setup Manager. Any questions from anyone, please? Any questions here, please?
So Lakshman, when you say configuration packages, is it kind of like entire GL setups like ledgers, or specifically we can select some, let's say I have created 12 ledgers
Entire
initially.
project. Okay. We can move the setup
Okay.
So
one instance to another instance by selecting the implementation project. In your implementation project, if you have only financials, you can move only financials. You have only SCM, you can move only SCM. If you have both, yes, you can move both. If you have only GL option, only that you can. how you are creating the implementation project. Accordingly, you can move the setups. But
so in that also there is no limitation, right? Like if I want even in the implementation project, I just wanted to migrate the setups for AP related or AR related. Is there a feature like that?
when we are doing that when you are moving the setups from one to other instance, Oracle is not giving that option. Only AP, only R. See, if you are moving only AP, there will be dependencies from other applications. Okay, that would fail.
Okay.
Okay, particular one or two setups, if you don't want to move, which you think not required, those you can disable. But we don't have any option to select particular option wise. Okay, entire project implementation project setups you can move. Entire implementation project.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So to create the configuration package is some utility?
Can you to create configuration packages?
Is there some kind of a utility we use, or there's some
No.
directly we have some menu driven something?
If you want to understand the process, okay, no utility we use. So what happens is, if you want to create the configuration package, against which project you want to create the configuration package, that you have to decide, finalize, then select implementation project. Within that implementation project, what are the setups you created? All the setup system will extract it and it will create XML files. Okay, it would create XML files. The same files we have to load into targeted instance. Say you have all the setups in the test instance. So those all setups you created with the help of implementation project. Now you will create the configuration package against the implementation project within this instance. Then the file you can, after downloading the file you want to upload into development instance or production instance, you can do it. Once you upload the file into this targeted instance, all the setups will be available in that instance. It's all about extracting the setups and uploading in the targeted instance with the file. So those system would create the files with XML tagging.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Fine.
Can we reverse the configuration packages once you put it into production and you think there's a problem? Can you reverse it back?
As a functional consultant, we'll be working as a functional consultant by learning this product. So as a functional consultant, we can create the configuration package and we can load that configuration package related setups in any instance. Once you load, you cannot undo that. You cannot reverse. If at all you want to reverse it, we have to contact Oracle DBA. Okay, we have to raise SR, service request. The service request we have to specify, by mistake we loaded setups into so and so instance, please reverse, so that they'll remove everything. As a consultant we cannot do, we have to take the DBA support. Oracle Cloud DBA support, they can help us. They are from Oracle.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions here, please? Okay. If no questions, we'll just go and see in the system. Any questions, please? Okay. Here, what point we are discussing? To do the setups, we have to create the implementation project. Without creating implementation project, also you can do the setups. Okay. Without creating the implementation project, also you can do the setups. If you do the setups without implementation project, you cannot create the configuration package. Okay. If you have implementation project, if you do the setups with the help of implementation project, you can move the setups from one instance to another instance. Say you didn't create implementation project, still system will allow us to do the setups. We'll see all those in the system environment. But as a point, without creating implementation project also, you can do the setups. Say you completed finance setups without implementation project. Now you want to move those setups from one instance to another instance. Since you don't have implementation project, you cannot move the setups. If you want to create the configuration package, you need project. Okay. Say you just completed all the setups and you don't have implementation project, but you want to move the setups from one to other instance, then what is the alternative solution? These points we'll see in the system only once we are ready with the setups. Any questions here, please? Okay. Now we'll see how to enable the offerings and options. Okay, how to enable the offerings and option. In case of fresh instance, we should enable the offerings and options. Now the instance which you are going to get for your practice, that is a test instance. In that instance, you might have noticed already offerings and options are already enabled. But anyway, I'll take you through the process how you have to enable if those are not enabled in fresh instance. Every fresh instance we have to enable. Okay, we'll go and see that. Okay, our username is ERPTREE. Provide password. Sign in. Fine. So what is the very first step we have to perform? We have to enable the offerings and options. So how to enable the offerings and options? So what are the points we discussed here? Okay, what are the points we discussed here? Everything related to FSM. That means if you want to enable the offerings and options, we have to navigate to FSM. Let's navigate to FSM. How to navigate to FSM? You have to click on user, click on setup and maintenance task. Just click on setup and maintenance task. So once you click on setup and maintenance task, we will land in this page. Here you can see the tab called as actions. Okay, you can see one tab called as actions, and you can find the drop down option also here. Click on the same. So from these options, select option called as go to offerings. You want to enable the offerings and options only. So click on go to offerings. So these are the offerings which are available in this instance. For which product families Oracle is offering the solution, you can see here. These are the different offerings which are available in this instance, in this pod. Okay. So one of the offering is our financials. You can click on our financials. You can find here the description of for financials. Okay. So what is the description they are giving? This financial flows includes assets. When you say assets, fixed asset application and ledgers. When you see the term called as ledgers, it is nothing but general ledger application. And cash cycle. Cash cycle in the sense cash management application. So in payables, what we do, we create invoices and we process the payments. That's what we discussed in the P2P cycle. So here you can see invoices and payments. Nothing but, so it's a payables application. Okay, payables application. So accounts receivable. So directly they given the name. Okay, within the finance we have account receivables. And collections, there is a separate application called as advanced collection application. That application. Setup of subledger accounting and tax configuration. Okay, to calculate the tax also we have a option within this, and even to create the accounting entries for any application. You create the transaction, the payables, receivables, and each and every application. For reporting point of view, for every transaction we have to create the accounting entries. Based on that accounting information you can generate the reports. For that we have an option called as subledger account. So these all are part of financials offering. Okay, these all are part of financials offering. So in the same way, you can check for any other offering also what the specific offering is included. So you can go to offering called as procurement. Select procurement. What we have as a part of procurement, you can see as a description. So this is how you can check. Now we'll see how to enable the offering. So select the offering first. Here you can find one tab called as opt-in features. Okay, you have one tab called as opt-in features. There is another tab also, new features, that I'll discuss after some time. First we have to understand the basics of how to do the setups, this and that. Then you can understand that new features, etc. Those points will come to know, we'll discuss. That is not required now. So click on opt-in features. Click on opt-in features. So in this instance, you can see the status as enabled. Our financial offering is already enabled. So by default, in the fresh instance, you can see as a disabled. Just for our understanding purpose, I'm disabling it. Again, we'll enable. To enable, then only you can use it. I'm just disabling, which is already enabled. So you created implementation project and you completed setups. If you disable it, there won't be impact on the implementation project. It won't be available to create one more project if required. That's all. Fine, cool. So, done. For our discussion purpose, I disabled. Okay, in the fresh instance, you can say if you select financials, you can find the description and you can see the status as a not enabled. This is how you will find the status in fresh instance. When you are working for your client, you can see the status as a not enabled. We have to enable it. How to enable? Click on opt-in features. Just click on opt-in features. First, you have to enable the offering called as financials. So enable financials. Okay, enable financials. Once you enable the financials, okay, by default system is enabling general ledger. Notice here, you cannot disable it. That means without general ledger application, you cannot use financials. Okay, so general ledger is very fundamental application to use the financials. Without general ledger application, you cannot use any application also, not only financial applications. Without general ledger application, you cannot use any applications in Oracle applications. So that is the reason whenever you enable financials, by default, general ledger is enabled. The other applications, supplier invoice processing means payables application. If you are going to implement payables application for your client, enable it. And other applications like expense application. Okay. So within the supplier invoice processing means payables. Within the payables application, we need suppliers, we have to create invoices, we have to process the payments, we need bank accounts. For that reason, we have a different subsections. Okay, supplier. When we are going to implement accounts payable application, suppliers information we require. And payables means here invoicing process, payments means we process the payments, and cash management and banking means when you enable accounts payable application, supplier invoice processing means accounts payables. When you enable supplier invoice processing, by default system will enable cash management also. The reason is when you are working on the payables application, you have to make the payments to your suppliers. If you want to make the payments to supplier, we need cash management. Why we need cash management? Bank accounts are available within the cash management only. So that is the reason system will default these sub options within the supplier invoice processing. Another option, nothing but application, or call it as module. Other option is expenses. So if you are going to implement expense application also for the client, you have to enable it. Yes, we are going to work on expense application also. So we discussed GL, APR, CMFA. Along with that, we are going to work on expense also. If you want to create the expense reports which are submitted by employees in the organization, we use this expense application. If you are from EBS background, in EBS we call as I expense. The same in the Fusion we call as Fusion expense. That is a separate application. We'll see in our classes. We are going to implement expense application also. And if you are going to implement fixed assets for your client, you have to enable. Say you are not going to implement fixed assets. Your client is not going to use fixed assets application. In that case, we can disable it. Okay, if you are implementing, enable it. And customer invoice processing. Customer invoice processing is nothing but receivables application. Okay. So say we are going to implement receivables application, enable it. Okay, enable it. As a part of receivables, we have a receivables. Okay, receivables means which will allow us to create the transactions, sales invoice and receipts, customer cash management and banking. In the receivables application, if you want to create the receipts, when we get the payment from customer, we create the receipts. When you get the payment from the customer, that we have to record in the system as a receipt. If you want to record the receipt, we need bank account details. The bank account details we can get from the cash management. Even if you select customer invoice processing, nothing but receivables application, automatically system will default cash management. That means you may implement payables or implement receivables. You will get cash management by default. Separately, you don't need to select the cash management. And when you are dealing with the receivables, we need items from the warehouse. And collection process we have to handle to collect the payments from the customers. So that also we have to select. Okay, there will be basic collections in the receivables application. Apart from that, there is separate collections application also. If you want to implement that, you have to enable that. We call as advanced collection application. And revenue management also separate application. If you want to implement that also, you have to enable. And the intercompany concept, if you want to implement, you can enable. We'll see as a part of our classes what does it mean by intercompany. And the budget concept, if you want to implement budget concept also, you can implement. And if you want to perform the BI analysis, if you want to perform the analysis related to different applications, you can enable all those. Expand it. Okay. So fixed asset, general ledger, payables, expense, all this data, if you want to get the BI analytics, means where you can analyze the data. If you want to analyze this application related data, you have to enable so that this data will go to BI server so that you will be able to perform the analysis. By default, you can select all this. Okay. So all this, so that's how you can get ready with this complete information. Okay. So this is how we have to enable the offerings and do options. We enable financial offering and we enable other options also. Okay, other options also. Here we have a futures. Okay, here we have a futures against the financials we have, against the general ledger we have, for payables related we have, receivables. For each and every application we have a futures. By default, whatever Oracle is providing, those all will be enabled. But whatever your client is required, if that is not enabled already, that you have to enable it. That's all. So here you can see almost everything is enabled. Okay. So if you want to enable something, if your client is going to use something, if that is not enabled from here, those you can enable from here. Okay. Whatever we require, ideally those would be enabled only. But whatever your client is required, if that is not enabled, that you can just do from here. So that is the option they given. So ideally you get everything. If something is not enabled, that you can enable. But by default, you don't need to enable anything. Okay. By default, everything you can get as a part of offering and options. Apart from that, on top of the offering or a specific option level, if you want to enable something, you can enable. Okay. So this is how you have to enable the offerings. We enable financial offering. Within the financial offering, we enable the options. Okay. We enable the options. Now click on save. Click on done. Here we have a setup. Okay. Here we have a setup. If you click on this, by using the financials, which setups you can do and all, you can see that. That not required from here. We never do from here. Just for information they're given. Just click on done. That you can see as a part of project. Okay, just click on done. In the same way, if you want to enable other offerings and options also, you can follow the same process. Now you can see the status as enabled. Financials enabled. Same way, if you want to enable procurement offering and options, select procurement. It's already enabled. Just for our understanding, click on opt-in futures. Expand procurement. So procurement is enabled. Within that, purchasing application is enabled. Supplier portal is separate application. Sourcing is separate application. Supplier qualification is separate application. Procurement contracts is separate application. These all applications are already enabled. Okay. So from here also we can switch from one offering to another offering. I can go to financials. Instead of clicking on done, going back to the previous page, here itself you can switch from one offering to another offering so that you can enable or disable how you require. Okay. This is how you can select and you can check. So in the very fresh instance, when you are doing the implementation only, we have to do these activities. Okay, just click on done. Just click on done. New features and all related to some patching and versioning and releases that you will understand later. Now you don't need to look into that. First we have to see the application. Later we'll discuss on that point so that you can understand. You don't need to touch that. Okay.
Lakshman, can you take to SCM for 1 minute? I
What
just
is
want
that?
to see that SCM
SCM.
offering. Just for 1 minute, just
No
want
issues,
to see the.
no issues. You can understand what you want to understand. We'll discuss. So when I talk about SCM, so what Oracle it is, Oracle is not released SCM in one go. They released it with the different phases. So when I talk about SCM, the primary applications are inventory, purchasing, and order management. As a part of procurement, first Oracle introduced procurement application. Within the procurement, we have a purchasing application. If you want to implement SCM applications, you have to go to procurement. You have to go to procurement, and from the procurement, enable only purchasing. I'll just cover all those points. From procurement, say you are going to implement only SCM, not entire procurement. In that case, disable all, enable only purchasing. Only purchasing. Remaining self-service procurements and supplier invoice processing, nothing but payables. If you are going to implement P2P cycle, you can enable supplier invoice processing within the procurement only. So from procurement, enable only purchasing if you want to implement SCM, remaining all disabled. Then what about inventory application and order management? Those two also they given as a separate offering. Reality, those are two separate applications. They have to give as a separate options. But since they released the different phases, they given as a separate offerings. Here you can see order management. Select order management. Here is order management. Go to opt-in features. Enable it. Okay. So enable order management. Done. So we need inventory application. Okay. For inventory application, we have product called as product management. With the help of product management, you can use inventory application. So you have to go to product management, opt-in features. Again, product management is the one of the offering. Within that, what we need product information management. Okay, product information management and inventory organization, and you can enable item organization. That's it. Item organization and all you can enable. Then you can get the inventory application. So this is how you have to enable if you want to implement SCM applications. Okay. So since SCM is not our part, we are not going to discuss more detail level. Just high level, those are the points you have to understand. From procurement, you have to enable the purchasing. From order management, directly you can enable the order management. From product management, you can enable the product information management and do item organization, inventory organization and do item. That's all. That's how you can get ready with the SCM related offerings. Any questions on that, please? Any questions, please?
Thank you for taking that tour.
Yeah, no,
Appreciate.
we can discuss. See, when we are just going through our finance based, if you want to understand some basic things, simple things, no issues. You can ask me even if it is relevant. If that can be discussed, yes, we'll discuss. No issues. Yeah, fine. Thank you.
Thanks.
Fine. Now, the other point is when you select financials. When you select financials, you can see the description of the financials and you can see the status, whether enabled or not. In fresh instances, if you see that is not enabled, By default, you cannot see as enabled. You have to enable. In that case, click on opt-in features. Okay, you can enable it. So if you want to understand about financials, what setups we have to perform, what features are available within the financials, Oracle is providing the documents. Here you could see related documents. You can expand it. We selected financials. When you select financials, system is displaying finance related description and related documents here. Expand related documents. Now we have a different type of documents. Associated features. Very high level, what are the features are available within the financials. To implement the financials, what setups we have to complete, separate document they given, and related objects and enterprise applications. You don't find any great usage of last two documents, related business objects and related enterprise application related documents. You don't get any information from that which is useful, but ideally these you can look into. The first two documents. Associated features and setup task list and tasks. Okay, so these documents are available with these three different formats. You can download this associated features document in the PDF format or HTML format or Excel format. Okay, and for setup task list and task also in the same formats documents are available. You can download and you can go through the document. Okay, you can go through the document to just understand what features we have, what setups need to be completed. Okay, so by looking at into this document, you can get some information, but don't think with the help of this document you can do all the setups. No, just it's a very basic information which will address what features we have high level, what setups we have to perform detail level. Okay, just for information you can use. So let's download the advanced associated features document in the PDF format. Okay, just click on PDF format. Okay, click on save. The file will be saved. You can download it. Open that. Fine. These are the associated features within the financials. Okay, so users, enterprise profiles, legal structures, finance reporting structure, general ledger application. Okay, within the general ledger application, these are the different features. Since we don't know any feature and all, it won't be good if you can start discussing now. So we'll get into the application, we'll understand, but just for information, take this document, what features we have as a part of financials. Suppliers, supplier invoice processing, you can maintain the suppliers information, you can process the invoices for suppliers. Okay, so you can set the approvals. Okay, and this is how you can just look into that. Okay, and the payables, the setups you can perform, the invoice process, payment process.
Okay.
Any question? Somebody unmuted. I can hear noise. Please go on mute. Fine. So you can just look into all this information as a part of financials offering. What are the various features Oracle is providing? All you can see. Okay, payments. Okay, bank related information you can maintain. Okay. So when you look at, if you want to understand this document, you have to complete this course. Okay, once you understand that course, once you complete the course, by looking into this document, you can understand, okay, yes, these are the features are available. Now, by looking at that features which are unknown for us, you cannot get anything from that. Just notice the point, we have a document which talks about the features which are available within the financials, that to very high level, not detail level. It's around 54 pages document. When you are practicing, you can download and you can spend some time to read the content which is there in the document. Yep. Close it. Now we'll go through setup task list and task related document also. Just click on PDF format. Okay, wait for a second. It takes time because it's a big document. So yep. Say okay. Save it. Open this file. It's around 601 pages document. So to implement financial application, what are the all setups we have to perform? Which setups are mandatory? What setups are compulsory? You have to complete. Which setups are optional? Based on the business requirement only, those we have to perform. So complete information you can find in this document. Okay. So each and every setup is belongs to which product family, which application. The setup is compulsory in the system or that is optional. All the details you can find in this document. Okay, this document also you can go through after completing few setups in our system. Once you complete few setups, you will understand how we do the setups and all. And if you go through this document, you can just understand. Even if you don't go through this document, there is no issue. Okay, just for information purpose, Oracle provided. You no need to think we have to go through these documents, we have to understand, based on that we have to do it. Not required. Once you know the product, you'll be able to manage everything. But just for information, if you want to go through, you can go through these documents. That's all. Yep. So just you may go through or you can ignore. Doesn't make big difference. So other documents not required. If you want to have a look, you can just click on any one of the format and that would get downloaded. You can open and see. So this is what we have to understand about offerings and options. Okay. Now, first point is we have to create our own user, and later we have to enable the offerings and options. Just for information, you may go through the documents or else you can ignore it. We're done with this. Any questions from anyone, please? Any questions, please?
Lakshman,
Please.
this is a generic question regarding how do we.
Your voice is not much audible.
Okay. Is it better now, Lakshman?
Very good. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. So, Lakshman, this is a generic question. How do we best utilize this course, meaning the recommended approach for utilizing this training, videos, and all?
Yeah. So whatever we are discussing in the sessions, you should remember that content. Okay. Whatever I am explaining, you should be in the position to explain to someone else. When you go for interview, they'll ask you each and everything. Okay. So you should be able to present. That means you have to read and remember. You have to read that content. First, you have to understand when you are discussing. If you have any questions, you can ask me. And whatever you are finding the information, you should remember. Till that time, you have to read it. There is no other option. You have to make a note of each and everything in your note. Okay, read and remember. That is the first point. Whatever we are going to do in the system, you have to practice multiple times. If you have a option, better you can give the presentation. Okay, maybe you can choose someone in your home and give the presentation. In the first session, second session, and this third session, or in the current fourth session, what we are discussing, you can explain to someone. Take the feedback from them, whether they are able to understand when you are explaining. We discussed about P2P and O2C cycles. So you explain to someone, okay, I'll explain you what does it mean by P2P cycle. So when I explained, you understood. The same way, when you explain, someone should understand. So that's what you have to implement. Okay, when we are running the classroom training, okay, in the past, we made this as a mandatory. Every student should give the presentation. They have to take the feedback from the people who are attending the presentation. That's how we made mandatory. Now, since classes are online, we cannot force someone. Okay, so that we made as a mandatory task. After completing all the people presentation, ideally we go for next class. If few people are not doing, we cannot do anything. So that's how we did. There was wonderful results which we could see from the participants. The same I am suggesting, if you have any possibility, you give the presentation, find someone, anyone, just give the presentation, so that will help you. If you are not interested for that, at least read and remember everything. So when you do all these things, that will become experience. You can, when you speak, when you explain, when you give presentation, that will become your experience. When you go for interview, so easily everything will flow in a flow. Okay, when you are presenting, so that brings some good confidence for you. That's what company need.
Okay.
So also you have to do multiple times. Do as many times you can do.
So on these videos, whenever we see those videos again, we have to parallelly open the instance and maybe pause the video and run it that time. Is it also part of learning?
What you can do is, don't depend on the videos every time you practice. Okay, now you are attending the class. When you can take the notes by considering no videos you are going to get. You are going to get videos for sure, but think you are not going to get the videos. And take each and every point, make a note. That would be readily available for quick reference for you when you are practicing. You make a plan by seeing your note. You are going to practice. When you attend the classroom trainings, what you do? Do you get videos from the trainer? No. You have to attend and you have to make a note of each and everything, the navigations, one by one point, running notes, or whatever the note you call. You have to take each and every point. Based on that, you can practice. The same try to implement here. So playing a video again and practicing, it's a big task. Okay, but you can use the videos for reference. Say you miss some session, you can play and you can use it, or else no issues. You can play the video first time, okay, one time, and you can make a note of each and every point. You choose for today one video, play that. When you are playing the video, don't practice. Okay, you cannot take the advantage. So just it's all about copy. Don't play the videos same time, don't practice. If you want to practice something based on some video, play one video and take all the points. When you are attending when you are going through the video, try to understand all the points detail level. Okay, so make a note of each and every point. After completing the entire video, you start with your practice. Everything will
okay.
So that approach you can follow. That will help you a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Spend more time. That's a big solution for everything. Okay, spend more time. Content wise, theoretically, you have to be good enough to explain if somebody is going to ask some content. Okay, if somebody is going to ask FSM, what do you mean by FSM? So FSM is FSM is nothing but functional setup manager. By using that, we can perform the setups. If you want to just implement, first we have to enable the offerings and options, then we have to create implementation project. When you are creating implementation project, what offerings and options we are going to implement for client, we have to choose those offerings and options we can assign to team members. That could be an entire offering or option or task list, and the team members can update the status. Based on that, we can track the progress of the project. By using the FSM, we can create the configuration packages to move the status from one instance to another instance. This is how I will explain if somebody is going to ask me what does it mean by FSM. That's what we are discussing in the today's session. The same you have to get ready. If you understand, that is not enough. If you are able to speak, that's what we need. Fine?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So now we'll proceed. Any other questions, please? No questions. So that's all about how to enable the offerings and options. And now we'll go and create the implementation project. Now we'll see how to create the implementation project. Okay, what is the purpose of implementation project? To perform the setups. To perform the setups in the system environment. What are the setups we are performing? To organize those setups and progress of the setups, we need implementation project. The other point is to move the setups from one instance to another instance, we need implementation project. So let's see how to create implementation project. The first question is, how many implementation projects we have to create? Who has to create? Who has to create? As a consultant, we have to create. You no need to think by looking at the term called as project manager has to create. No. Who knows how to create the project, they can create. Ideally, since this project is related to setups, as a consultant, we create the project. And the second question is, how many projects we have to create? So how many projects we have to create, that totally depends for how many countries we are doing the implementation. By default, for every country, we create separate project. So you are doing the implementation for say, India, USA, and UAE. So if you are doing the implementation for 3 countries, so for India, we'll create separate project. For USA and UAE, we create separate projects. And for 3 countries also, we can create one project and you can perform the setups. That is also possible. But to keep that, the setup related process separate for each and every country related implementations, we create separate project. That is the point we have to understand. Can we create multiple projects for one country? Yes, you can create. Say you are doing the implementation for US. So you want to create separate project for finance, one project you want to create. For HCM, you want to create one project. SCM, you want to create separate project. Yes, you can create. If you want to create, you can create. But generally, we don't do it. Okay. So for one country, we create one project. Within that, one or multiple offerings and options you can select. So that's how you can manage that project to do the setups. Okay, anyone can create the project who knows how to create the project. Any consultant can do it. Okay, and ideally, if it is going to be the implementation, as a finance consultant, we create the project. Okay, so to implement any applications from finance side, the GL application basic setups need to be completed. That is the reason we have to create the project, or else anyone can create, nothing wrong. So for one country, one project we have to create. If you want to create more than one project also, offering wise, if you want to create the project, yes, you can create, but generally we don't do it. If you are implementing for multiple countries, each country we create separate projects so that the country specific projects we can use to perform the country specific setups. So that is a point we have to understand. Oracle provides one instance for only one client. By using one instance, you cannot do the implementation for multiple clients. Remember that. Okay, one instance, one pod for only one client, one company, one organization, or one enterprise you can call. So one for one. Okay, one instance for only one client. We should not use one instance for multiple clients. Oracle won't allow. That is the point we have to understand. Let's see how to create implementation project. It's a very simple task. Go to instance,
Lakshman.
please.
So for consolidation also, we will create a separate project or
No,
within
within the same you can do it. Consolidation is one of the concept.
yeah.
Consolidation
Okay.
is one of the concept, or say one of the future. Don't need to create the project. The relevant setups we have to perform. We'll see now.
Got it.
Process. We have a consolidation concept also. No project is required. Okay. The same project you can do that. Fine. So we are in this page. How we navigate it? From this page you can click on task list. Here you have a task called as manage implementation projects. How we navigated this page is very simple. Click on username. Click on setup and maintenance. So we are in the same page. Click on task list. Click on manage implementation projects. Okay. Click on manage implementation projects. You could see many implementation projects here. Many. Because this is test instance. Okay. Test instance, or you can call as vision instance. Okay. Oracle provides sample data with the company called as vision. That is the reason this instance we call as vision instance. This is not a fresh instance. Okay. But this instance we are going to use in case of if you get access to fresh instance, how you have to do the setup. Even in this instance, there is some sample data Oracle is providing with the company name called as Vision. We are not going to touch it. We are not going to use it. We are not going to refer it. So if you are going to work on the very fresh instance, how we have to do the setups, what sequence we have to follow, what we have to understand, we are going to follow that approach. Okay. So when you are working for your client in the first instance, you don't see single project also. Okay. You don't see single project also. So if you navigate to this page you can find like this. When you come to this page, you can find a blank page, no projects here. I just put dot and I searched with the dot, there is no project, so it is blank page. This is how you will find this page. So from this page you have to create your project. How to create the project? Here we have a plus icon, create icon, click on create. So by default system is defaulting some name. Okay, it is taking some name. We have to override how we need the project name. Say ERPTREE implementation project. Numbers and all you can remove. Okay, just give the name as ERPTREE implementation project. Use tab. The same name system is defaulting as a project code and project description. Since we are creating the project, yes, this is not started. Once we create the project, whenever you start with doing the setups, you can update the status as a started, in progress. Now we are creating this project from which user? ERPTREE user. We are creating this project from ERPTREE user. So that is the reason system is assigning this project to the same user. If you want to change the assignment, you can assign to other user also. Okay, if you want to assign this project to other user, you can go to search. Okay, and here you can search for any user. I'll search with the A. There are many users since here sample data is available. Okay, I'll assign to this user. So this is how you can assign the project. By default, system would select same user. From which user you are creating the project, system would select the same user. So let's assign to the current user only. ERPTREE. Say okay. Here we have to specify the start date. What is the start date for this project? Yes, by default system is taking today date. Yes, you can accept. And finish date. By which date you are going to complete the setups? So setups we are going to complete by end of this month. The tentative finish date. And remember one more point, if you set the end date as 30, okay, 30th, still system will allow you to do the setups after 30th also. Okay, that is just for information. Now click on next. Okay, now click on next. Just click on next. So what are the offerings and options already enabled? Those only would be available here. So here we can find the financials. Why we are able to see financials here? Already we enabled. Which offerings and options already enabled? Those you can find at the time of project creation. Say we didn't enable financials. If you don't enable financials, now you don't see financials here. So that is the reason the very first step is we have to enable the offerings and options. Those offerings and options only you can see at the time of project creation. Now we want to include these financials into our project. Remember the terminology. First we have to enable. Second step is while you are creating the project, you have to include it. Don't say we have to enable financials. Enabling we do one time for entire instance. When you are creating the projects, the enabled offerings and options would be available, which you require into your project. You have to include. We have to include. We are not going to enable. We are going to include into our project. So include financials. Okay. Please go on mute.
Hey, Lakshman.
Please.
So enablement is coming from licensing or enablement is a choice?
We have to do it. We have to do it, our choice, but we should make sure that you are enabling based on our subscription only. Say you take the subscription for finance and SCM. You can HCM, PPM, procurement also. You can do it. You can enable and you can implement also. And implement
Okay.
won't support you if you have some issues. You should not do it because you don't have subscription. System will allow you to enable for which offerings and options you don't have subscription from Oracle.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
And how do you do the enable?
we have seen already. You joined.
Okay. Sorry. I joined a little late. Okay. I'll see the recording. That's fine.
Yeah. We already enabled. Okay. The very first point is we enabled offerings and options. Based on those, we are creating the project. Whatever you enabled offerings and options, those only you can select into project. Now, whatever you are
Okay.
able to
Thank you.
see here, all the offerings and options, these all are enabled already. Otherwise, you don't find here. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So the
Thank you.
financials we are including into our project and include supplier invoice processing also. Supplier invoice processing means payables application. Include and expense, nothing but fusion expense. As per EBS, if you are from EBS background, the simple note is this is I expense in EBS. In fusion, we are calling as fusion expense. Include. And fixed assets. Include. And customer invoice processing, nothing but receivables. Include. Okay. So other applications like associated applications related to finance, if you want to include. Collections means advanced collections application. So revenue management, cloud services, separate application. You can include intercompany, budget concept and all you can include. And you can include the BA analytics where you can get the data into BA server to perform the analysis related to this application specific data. Enable it. So that's all. So we included everything into this project. So you don't find two applications from the finance, whatever discussed in P2P O2C, which applications are those and why we are not able to see here, why we are not able to include into financial project. Which applications we are not able to see from this page? Anyone please?
Procurement?
No, finance, within the finance. In the
General ledger.
general ledger and
Yeah, general ledger.
Ledger I don't see, and then
Assets.
assets we have.
Cash management.
Yes, cash management. General ledger and cash.
Yes, CM.
Why we
cash
are not able to find general ledger and cash management here? So we
It is mandatory for all the implementations. That's
That's
why it's
common.
available.
No, not that common, not. So we enabled the offering called as financials, right? When you enable the offering, by default, GL system is selecting. That means if you include financials, automatically GL will come. Because without GL, you cannot implement financials. And we enabled payables and receivables, right, as a part of enabling offerings and options. There, when you enable payables application, system is enabled cash management application. When you enable receivable system, enable cash management. That means if you enable financials, you will get GL automatically. Here system Oracle is not displaying. If you enable financials, automatically you will get GL application. If you enable payables, you will get cash management. It could be receivables also. You will get cash management. So that's how they given. That is the reason you don't see, and you no need to select those as separately. If you select payable financials, you will get GL automatically. If you select payables or receivables, you will get cash management. So those are kind of the dependency applications with other applications. So those will come along with those. At the time of enabling, we have seen, but there is no option for us to select or deselect. If you select financial, system is enabling general ledger. If you select payables or receivables, automatically system is enabling as cash management. So that is the reason you don't see those applications in this list. Okay, if you select financials, you will get GL automatically. If you select payables or receivables, you will get cash management automatically. Okay, that is the point we have to notice. So this is how we have to include required offerings and options. Yeah, any questions here, please?
I have a logistical question. So let's say it is a large organization, this implementation is being done, and there are two teams. Procure to pay team is one team, and order to cash team is another team. And order to cash team is behind, it's kind of a phase 2 implementation. So how do you?
It could be any scenario you take. You can create as many as projects you require as per how you are going to manage your setups. As you mentioned,
Okay.
one is P2P, other one is O2C. So when you say P2P, what are the applications we required? We require inventory application, purchasing application, and payables application, GL application. In that case, you can go and select, you can create one project, go to each offering, from that offering which application is required, which will help you to implement procurement of P2P cycle. In the same way, O2C, what are the applications we require? Those applications we have in which different offerings. Go to each and every offering. From each offering, you select what are the application you require. Or else if you are going to implement a P2P cycle, simply you can go and do something. I'll show you that. Okay. First, just I selected. Now say save and do open project. If you want to include any other offerings and options into this project, later also you can add it. It is not mandatory during the creation only you have to do it. Not mandatory. So after creating the project also you can do it. Say you are going to implement only P2P. In that case, how to select, we'll see. Once system will create this project, we'll go through that. System created project. We'll go through this project after completing that project, P2P project. Now what we can do is click on create. Say P2P. Even if you are implementing P2P and O2C, there may be two teams. Nothing wrong if you create one project by including everything. If you want to maintain separate project, then yes, you can follow this process. Click on next. So when you say P2P, go to procurement. Enable procurement. In procurement, enable purchasing. You need purchasing only from procurement. Within the purchasing only, they given supplier invoice processing, nothing but payables. When you enable this payables, you will get GL also. Okay, you may enable financials or you may enable just this, any one of the finance application will get payables. So we enable for procurement, we enable purchasing, we enable supplier invoice process, nothing but payables. That means purchasing and payables applications are ready. Now go to financials. Finance already is done. Okay. So go to order management. Order management is O2C cycle. Okay, that is not required. So we need product management. So here go to, where is that product management? We have to go to product management offering. You can select it. And order management, procurement. Yeah, here is the product management. Include. From this, we don't need everything. We need from product management to use the inventory functionality. We need product information management only. Enable inventory organizations also. That's all. Okay. So if you select and say save and create, save and open project. So this project you can use to implement the P2P cycle. You'll get inventory, you'll get purchasing, you'll get payables. When you get payables, any one of the finance application, you get GL automatically. So that's how you can create the P2P implementation project in the same way. O2C means the same inventory purchasing. You can select, apart from that, you can select order management also. So that's how you can create. Within the procurement, we have payables also. Okay, you can expand procurement. Within that, you have to define invoicing and do payment config. This is nothing but payables application. You have a payables, you have a purchasing application, define purchasing configuration, you have a product management inventory, you will be able to implement purchase P2P. Yep. So now we created this project, ERPTREE implementation project. Open that project. Okay, once you click on save and open project, this is how it would create. Now you can click on edit. Okay, click on edit status. You can set the status as in progress. We started working on the project. You can select, say, save and close. Now system will update the status. Here the status icon, you can see if you place a cursor, it shows in progress. The project is in progress. That means we started doing the setups. We selected only financials. Now you want to include procurement also into this project. So you can, at the time of project creation, if you don't select, not an issue. Even without selecting financials also, you can save it. After saving, you can add offerings and options into this. Click on add. Okay, you can add offering to our project. Let's add procurement, entire procurement. Search, select, say apply. Just click on apply. When you say apply, system has to create all the setups which need to be created for procurement. It added in the background. You can click on done. So this is how you can add the offerings. So now open the financials. So it's created for each option separate task list. Okay, here you can say define invoicing and do payment configuration, nothing but payables. To complete the payable setups, okay, what are the different task lists we have to use, tasks we have to use, you can see. These are all we have to complete. So expand the define payables, these are all we call as a task. Whatever you see the folder options, those we call as a task list. That means that will contain list of tasks. Whatever you see as a folder options, those are task lists. Okay, under that folder options, whatever you could see, those all we call as the tasks setups. So you can find which setup is mandatory, which is optional. This is a mandatory, star mark they given. Okay, the other setups are not mandatory to implement the payables. Same way you can check everything. As a part of our actual classes, means when you are working on the payables, we'll see detail level. Here just to introduce how this looks like, I'm just taking through these details. So this is how system is created. If you want to implement fixed assets, this is a fixed asset related task list. For a fixed assets option system created on task list, you can expand, define fixed assets configuration. Within that, what setups we have to perform, it is showing. See here, under define fixed assets configuration, these are the various tasks. There are a few other task lists also. These are all related to fixed assets. Up to here. To here. For receivables, if you want to implement receivables, expand it. You can see all the setups. Okay, these are the various setups which you have to perform. So this is how you can add. So now you don't want to include receivables. You don't want to implement receivables for your client. So when you are selecting the project, say you selected project. The project you selected entire financials, or you selected receivables also. 1 second, let me collapse this. So you don't want to implement receivables, no issues. Now you can remove from this. You can select receivables. Okay, here you can select that record. Click on this. Here, if you place the cursor, it shows arrow mark. Click on that section. The record will get selected. You can delete receivables from the project so that you cannot do the receivables configuration since you are not implementing. So no receivables. Later, if you want to add, you can add it. How to add? Click on add. It is not offering. Receivables is not offering, that is the option. go to task list. Task list means it could be some list of tasks or entire option. Search for names they given as a defined receivables. Okay, so define receivables configuration. Select, sorry, receiving, that is, this is the receivables. One second, let system complete that. Select define receivables configuration. Click on apply. Say done. Now just what we can do is click on done. Open ERPTREE implementation project. We added receivables. Receiving also we added, that you can delete. By mistake we added. So that's how separate offering also, separate option also you can add into the project. So you may do the setups for financials. After doing all the setups, you may delete the project, delete the offering, but your setups will remain as it is in the system. Only you are deleting offering which you selected in the project. With the help of that offering, whatever the setups you did, those will be available in the database. Now, if you want to do the finance setups from this project, you cannot do. If you want to do the finance setups from this project, again add financials offering. We never do this, but for your understanding, the possibility I am explaining. Deleting, adding, not required. Whatever we require, we'll add into the project. By mistake, if somebody is deleted, in that case, you can take this point. Wait for a second, it will add.
By adding the same inclusions will come again, or again we need to do the same tasks adding?
Same inclusions in the sense I didn't understand. What do you mean by inclusions?
After selecting the finance, you selected some of the tasks, subtasks, something like that. Again, you need to select, or whatever you have deleted again will come back.
No. I deleted when it was in our project. Okay. Now I am selecting from system to our project. It will be there in finance. It would be always available. The same we are copying into our project. Once after copying, we delete it within our project, but not from actual one. It will come. Okay. Now, if you open, you can see that receivables in this.
So, Lakshan, to begin with, if suppose we already started with some setups and we were halfway, and we never created the implementation project, and we realized, oh, we had to move this one to another instance. Can we create the implementation project at that time? And
yes, that also we can do. So you did just setups. After that, you realized, oh, just without project also you can complete all setups. Those points also we'll discuss from where, how, and all. That all will be in our classes. So to understand how you can do all the setups, since system will allow you to create any setup without project, you may create. Later you may realize these all setups need to be moved to a different instance, so we need project. But you completed all the setups. After completing all the setups also, you can create implementation project. What are the setups you created? Those you have to tag into your project so that you can move the setups. How to tag and all we'll understand once we start doing the setups. We can do that.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Any other questions, please?
So, Lakshman, these projects are used for transferring across instances or moving the setups in different instances. So that's what my understanding so far.
Yeah.
So
these projects are these projects are used to perform the setups and to move the setups one to other instance. There are two primary points: to perform the setups and to move the setups.
Okay. So, but ultimately they, let's say someone created one project A.
Okay.
Someone else created project B and someone else created project C. So
Okay.
all A, B, and C, let's assume they all created same kind of offerings, same kind of task list and everything.
Okay.
So each person, whatever changes they do in the system using those projects will be applicable in that instance for everybody, is it?
No, no,
Or
no, no. So see, system point of view doesn't matter. You are creating the setups from one project or multiple projects. If you create the user, it will be stored in the user table. If you create the project, it will be stored in the project table. If the three people are working for same implementation, whatever they are doing from any project, it will be reflecting in the same creation, same whatever you are creating. The three projects and the three different setups they are doing, accordingly those will be maintained separately. So these points you can understand. Now I cannot take example to refer something we didn't discuss anything what we create in the system. Okay. Or else you can ask me with some example. What, see, you said A, B, C, three projects we created. Three projects for one country or different countries. What is the scenario you can take so that I can?
let's say I will take one very simple example. Let's say someone created financial and GL was automatically included.
Correct.
And using that task list later on, he actually opened one period. Let's say June period he opened.
One second. Don't go up to that periods and all. You cannot open from the projects. Okay. So see, the periods concept you cannot do from this. Periods, that's totally different concept. That application specific roles we have, through that only you can. For projects you cannot open the periods. Only for setups.
Okay.
Better take other example. You are from EBS background, yes, you can refer those periods and all, but to answer your point, no periods can be opened from the project, only to do the setups.
Okay.
Yeah. Who got?
So even though there might be multiple projects created, but referring to the same offering at the application, so ideally in the system there is only one setup. So even though there might be multiple projects, but they're pointing to the same setup. Is that right?
No. What happens? Finance is only one. Whenever you select the finance into 4 projects, what are the setups you do from finance offering? Those will be maintained separately. Okay. From project 1, what are the finance setups you do? Those will be stored separately, and project 2, whatever the finance setups you do, those will be stored separately, because offering is only one that we are using in the different projects to perform the different setups with the help of same.
Right, but if that all the tasks are the same, then
yes,
it means it is right.
Yeah, all tasks are same. What is your question?
So if that all the tasks are same, then it means we are referring to the only one setup only within that, whatever the
only
task is.
One setup only. Project 1 people, what they want to create with the task they'll create. Project 2 people, what they want to create with the task they'll create. Say for example, finance we are implementing for India and US. In India project you selected financials, in US project you selected financials. For India, what are the setups we have to do, we'll do from India project with the help of finance. For US, what setups they require, they'll create setups from the US project, and whatever they are using the task for India and US is same. Task is same, but data what they are creating, whatever they are creating, that is different.
Right, but if it is for the same country, then
the same country means if you create from one project, other project you don't need to create. Ideally, you need one more project.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah. See, project will give you the access to the task only. That's it. The task you can access from any project. Okay, the project will give you the access to tasks to perform the setups. Even if you have a US project also, you can just do India setups. It's all about what name you require, how you require. That's how you'll understand once you start doing the setup. These points will be more clear. Our simple point is, with the help of projects, you can do the setups. For one country, we create one project ideally. The setup, the task name may be same for different projects, but what you create, that is matter.
So if I create two projects,
okay,
for US, for
okay.
same country US,
Yeah.
okay, and both projects have they have like say 10 tasks each. Say two tasks are common. Okay. If I'm done with US project 1, okay, and I'm done with all the 10 tasks,
Okay.
okay, the two common tasks in US project 2, will they show complete automatically, or like I'll just have to mark them complete because I know that the setup is done?
See, whatever the setups you did from one project, you can access those same setups from any project.
I can access those. Okay.
Yeah, from any project you can access. Even you can access from the India project also. Okay, project will allow you to navigate to the setup pages. Within the system, whatever the setup data is available related to the task, you can find it.
Okay. Okay.
Are you from EBS background?
Yes.
Okay. You can create the supplier from payables, right?
Yes.
Same supplier task function you can see in the purchasing also, right?
Yes.
Can you find the supplier from purchasing, which supplier you created from the payables?
Yes, I can.
The same here also. Because they are giving that function in the two pages, two applications. Since the two applications require that supplier creation. Okay.
Okay, got it. Got it.
Yeah, that's it.
So projects are, so in EBS terminology, projects are something like menu and functions. So we define, anyone can define their own menu and assign it to different groups or responsibilities.
No, project is actually, what I understand is project is actually on top of it. Like why for you to help to do the setups. That's it.
That's it. Just to help to do the setups. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
The menus and functions, they are separate. You can
Correct. That's a different. Ideally, we use for setups we use menus, as well as process also we use the menus. But that's a different thing. That you have to include here by default. You can select offerings and options accordingly. You can access. That's all. Once we start doing the setups, you'll get more clarity. Still, if you have some so little bit confusion. Okay, but those are the points we have to understand. Any other questions, please? Right, no questions. Okay, so this is how we can create the projects. Okay. So already receivables we have in the finance itself. I am just removing this. Select, delete. Okay, so just we created project. Okay, now what you can do is you can assign this project to team members, and you have to understand all these columns. What is help, go to task, selected scope, status, everything. This all we'll discuss. Okay, so before we start with the actual setups, as per the implementation requirement, we have to understand few more points. We'll discuss that. We'll start with the system. When you start with the actual configuration, the system, we'll discuss all these points. We'll see how to assign the resource, how to update the status. These all points we'll discuss. Then we'll start with the system configuration. Okay. So before we start with this actual system configuration, we have to understand few points which are very much important. Without that, if you start doing, you can understand in the system, but reality you cannot sync. Okay. So that's what. That's all for today. Any questions from anyone, please? So what we did in today's session, just we discussed about what does it mean by FSM. We have seen how to enable the offerings and options, how to create the implementation project by selecting the offerings and options. So these how to assign the offerings and options, updating the status, tracking the progress of the status, configuration packages creation, not in this stage. Once we complete the setup, then we can see. At least half of the setup after completing, we can test it. So those all we'll see. maybe in the next weekend. So we have to discuss few more concepts to start with the system configuration, then we can go through all these parts. So any questions on today's session or yesterday's session, please? Or any last weekend sessions also. If you have any questions, please.
In case of EBS, for the Vision instance, the generic username and password are operations and welcome.
Yeah.
For Fusion also, is there any such name, or because of cloud that's not available?
Yeah. Here, Fusion, Oracle is providing the Vision instance. Now what we are using, that is Vision instance only. They kept a logo also. So the company name, logo. Okay, this is also Vision instance. For a Vision instance, in EBS, we have a different usernames, right? Operations, okay, and services, constructions. These are the different names they are using as a part of Vision instance. In Fusion also, Oracle is providing the sample data. For that username is FinIMPL. You have access to sample data related to finance. To have access to SCM related sample data, we have SCM IMPL. We know in EBS, okay, in EBS, what is the password for operations user? The Vision instance?
Welcome.
Welcome, always welcome. Password is. But in the Fusion, so every week Oracle is changing the password for these users. That is the reason you cannot catch what password you have to use. If you are in touch with Oracle, then only you can get that.
Okay.
Yep. Now anyway, we'll provide you a user. Okay, with that user, you can go to this FinIMPL user and you can reset the password for this user and you can log into the system as a FinIMPL and you can check if you want to check the sample data. Yep, that you can do.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
So Lakshman, the instance you were showing earlier with the Vision logo on it, is it a standalone instance installed locally, or is it
This is a
taken from
cloud instance? This is from Oracle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because sometime earlier, I think last week you mentioned that it can be done, installation can be done locally as well. So that's why
That
I
we call
asked.
as on-premise instances. Clients can have their servers, they can get DBA support. With help of DBS, they can install in their own machines. Okay, 99% clients are using cloud only. Just here and there, somewhere, somebody using on-premise. So again, that is something like challenging for them. So what we are doing, those are cloud only.
So for training purposes, like whenever we get those login details, we will be able to work, right?
Full access, you will get full access, no limitations.
Okay.
Yeah. As admin, you can work. This is very same as how you work when you work for client. Okay, we are not setting some restrictions to security console, this and that. Okay, so you'll get full access when you work for your client. What sort of privileges you'll have, the same you can see here also.
All right.
Questions, please. Yeah.